Thanks for checking out this video. So, since I just wrapped up reviewing all of the Chucky franchise films, plus the remake, which I would not consider really part of the franchise because it's not the continuous story that the rest of the films are, but I mean, like, technically it is. But I want to remember the franchise in a better way, and that remake is not it. I'm doing a list, a ranked list. This was an idea by your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, who I did all these reviews for, basically. So he was like, hey, what do you think about doing a ranked list at the end? And I was like, yeah, that'd actually be pretty cool. Because now that people have potentially watched all my reviews, I gave the star ratings, but it's a little different when you hear it all on a list because, hearing them all throughout weeks, you can't necessarily piece together my ranking in your head. Also, this is a great video for people who don't want to watch all of those analysis videos of the films. They just want to know my feelings on what's the best, what's the worst. So let's get into it. I will say that I included both seasons 1 and 2 of the Chucky show in my ranking and separately, not together, because they're very different. Okay, so my number 10, the last one, you probably know, the Child's Play remake from 2019. This film was pretty bad. It's very easily the worst film of any Chucky property because it's a good idea. It's just the execution is so bad. There's a lot of terrible writing. The dialogue is really poorly written. The characters aren't really fleshed out enough. There's just a lot of deficiencies with the way this film was made. The best thing about the film was the lighting and the child actors, and that's about it. Also, that Chucky design, horrible, hideous, horrendous. So then going on to number 9, Child's Play 3. Not a big fan of this one just because not enough feels like it happens. The setting of the military school is not too bad, but the film is kind of slow. It doesn't have a whole lot of impact. The story is kind of lost. This was one that got rushed out, basically. So you can really tell that with the script that Mancini ended up putting out. And he said, like, he didn't have enough time. He wanted to do something different. I think that's the film, Child's Play 3 was the one where he actually wanted to introduce multiple Chuckies, but the studio didn't let him do that, so he had to kind of come up with something else real quick. So it makes me wonder what it would have been like if they had let him do that, but that's why number 9 is Child's Play 3. Number 8, Cult of Chucky. I don't hate this film. There are some pretty good moments, but it is extremely slow and boring to get going. The setting of it is really cool at the mental hospital, like for the criminally insane, basically. It's an interesting concept, and there are really good parts of it. I mean, Fiona Dorff does a great job as the character of Nika, but it becomes too much. Like, they pile so much on top of the character of Nika that it starts to get really old. I don't like her character past Curse of Chucky, to be honest. But it's not because of her acting. Her acting's great. I do like that in that film, we actually get the introduction of multiple Chuckies. That was an awesome wrinkle. I did really like that about the film. So I don't hate the film. It's just, this is where it's got to rank. So for number 8, Cult of Chucky. Now number 7, Seed of Chucky. A film that a lot of people say is the worst. I found a lot of enjoyment in the film. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. This is where Chucky actually finally accepts that he likes being a doll. There are a lot of advantages, and he decides he doesn't really want to put his soul in any human bodies at that point. And it's running parallel to what's going on with Glenn/Glenda. They are confused about who they are and who they want to be, and Chucky has been confused throughout the whole franchise up until this point about if he wants to continue to be a doll or he wants to, be a human again. So I love that kind of parallel there. The kills are phenomenal in Seed of Chucky. That's another great thing about it. And I think the humor is actually pretty decent in it. It is kind of like hokey, stupid. There are a few things I didn't love about it, like the whole Britney Spears reference was just really out there. Plus John Waters is in it, and I love John Waters, and his death was great. But my favorite death in it was the head getting popped off. That was wonderful. That was the first kill, I believe. So yeah, that's a good one. That's why number 7 is Seed of Chucky. Now number 6, Curse of Chucky. I really liked Curse of Chucky. It felt a lot like an older Chucky film. It felt a lot like Child's Play 1 or Child's Play 2. It's shot amazingly. That is the point in the franchise where the directing goes to a new level, in my opinion, and Don Mancini did that. It's very stylish, and I love that about it. You have the introduction of the character of Nika, who I said I really enjoyed in this film. Very strong acting by Fiona Dourif. Chucky is very menacing, looking good. The kills are pretty solid when they happen. Gets a little bit slow from time to time, but I think it's a very solid entry, and that's why I put Curse of Chucky as my number 6. Now my number 5, Chucky the Show Season 2. I don't like Season 2 nearly as much as Season 1, but the first 3 episodes were great, and a very good continuation of Season 1. I don't want to get into any like spoiler territory if anyone hasn't seen it, but the introduction of certain characters into Season 2 is very interesting, where they take it and they just keep growing and growing and growing this story. And like I said, honestly, if it wasn't for those first 3 episodes, this probably would be a little bit further down on my list, maybe 1 or 2 spots. But those first 3 episodes are really good, and then all the episodes after that do start to go a little bit downhill, in my opinion. But the acting is really cool. There are some really interesting concepts, and they keep the fun Chuckiness going. So that's why my number 5 is Chucky Season 2. Now my number 4, Child's Play 2. Great follow-up, in my opinion. Very solid to the original. It's a very good sequel. The whole thing of Andy going to a foster home and then meeting up with Kyle, who ends up becoming his kind of friend towards the end. Love the setting at the end of the factory, the toy factory, where there are like all those boxes of the good guy dolls. And then the demise of Chucky is really cool in this one. How he gets blown up and melted and all that stuff. It's pretty good. So pretty good deaths in it. They had a lot of good Chucky moments. And I think it's a really good sequel. There aren't a ton of like great sequels out there, to be honest, but I think it's also the film where you start to like get more of Chucky's personality coming out, and they start to establish Chucky as more of like a franchise villain as opposed to the first film, because he was so new and they didn't get a lot into his personality. He starts to really shine personality wise in Child's Play 2. So that's why Child's Play 2 is my number 4 pick. My number 3 pick, Bride of Chucky. Some people are going to be disappointed this isn't much higher, like 2 or 1. But it's here for a reason. It is very good. It's a lot of fun. I think they did a great job introducing a new twist to the franchise at a point where it definitely needed it, coming off of Child's Play 3, which was very... They did a great job with the introduction of Tiffany. Very interesting character. It kind of makes the danger seem like more because it's not just Chucky at this point. And it just adds a whole new aspect of story that people are interested in. It makes it fresh. It's not just all about Chucky anymore. Now, that said, the kills are very interesting as well. The acting is wonderful. I mean, the way that Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly play off each other in the film is really, really good. Good kills to it. It's a lot of fun. It's a very good film, and that's why my number 3 is Bride of Chucky. Now my number 2, the original Child's Play. And if you're keeping track, then you know what number 1 is, and you might be surprised. But the original Child's Play is phenomenal. It's very good, especially when you consider watching it before watching all the other films, which is the best way to do it. Not knowing what that film is and then watching it is the best way to watch it. And it's scary. It is legitimately scary. It's a wonderful concept. It's extremely well pulled off by the directing of Tom Holland. They do some really fun, creepy things, like has been talked about a lot, you know, when it's first found out that there are no batteries in Chucky, and then the part where he falls on the ground and rolls under the couch. I mean, it does the best job, in my opinion, of building scares, building dread, and the final showdown is amazing. The final showdown is so tension-filled, so dread-filled, and it's great. And you have the advantage of it being the first film that people don't know at that point that Chucky will always come back after getting knocked down the first time. After that, it starts to be established, especially after Child's Play 2, that, oh, Chucky's never going down the first time. He'll always pop back up. But in the first film, you don't know that, so it is a good surprise moment. But it's a great film. It's really well done, so that's why my number 2 is the original Child's Play. that means that my number one is season 1 of The Chucky Show. It's outstanding in my opinion. I have not seen a horror TV show in quite some time that is that good. It is so well written. It feels like an amazing continuation of the Chucky story at the same time as it feels like a rebranding of Chucky for a younger generation. It has so much interest in the story. The characters are very rich. You can really root for them. You understand them a lot. And it's not just about Chucky in the film. It's also about the struggles, the personal struggles of these characters. And they're really fleshed out, interesting, enjoyable characters. And their interactions are so good. The writing is awesome. The dialogue is great. The acting is great. And then you get decent, like good kills for it being like a sci-fi TV show. You get good kills with it. You get some good dirty language with it. Obviously, Brad Dourif does an amazing job. It's a really cool show. And it works so well because you're getting a lot more of the show. Like, it's not just an hour-and-a-half movie. It is, well, I think it's like 7 episodes, 6 or 7 episodes. I think actually 6, and then season 2 was 7. I think it's 6 episodes, which isn't quite 6 hours, but it's probably comes out to about a little bit over 5 hours. I mean, and that could have dragged so horribly, but it doesn't. It moves at such a great clip. So many technical, wonderful things going on with it, plus a very interesting story that's just continued from the franchise, and I love it. I think that the Chucky season 1 is phenomenal. So that is why it is my number 1. Now, this is where I'd like to ask you to give me your ranking of the Chucky franchise films. Go ahead and put it down in the comments. And, you know, I'm always interested to see where other people put it. I'm not going to argue with anyone about it and be like, oh man, why'd you put that as number 1 or that is the last one? Everyone's opinion is different, and I get it. You know, you may be surprised by some of my picks, but they're just my picks, you know, and I'm interested to hear what yours are. So put it in the comments. Do me a quick favor, though, real quick. Hit subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate that. Also, hit the notification bell button, because then you'll know when I'm putting up new videos, which I'm doing 3 or 4 a week, which I think is a good amount of work. I'm constantly busy with this, so the best way to repay me for this free content is literally to subscribe. So, that said, thank you very much for checking out this video, and until next time, keep it brutal.